Hey everybody, Dr. Snow here, ready for our Q&A today. I'm opening up a little bit early today because I'm just sitting here ready to go. I wanted to tell you a couple of things I thought were really funny. And if somebody comes on, I'll just start answering questions, but I'm just sitting here and figure why wait 9 minutes to start yapping. I want to tell a couple of stories. I had done a couple of clips that were supposed to go on here this week, but one of them I want to tell you a funny story. At first I was like, oh my God, I was horrified. But as I'm sitting here, I think it's really hilarious. I hope you do too. I rattled off 4 or 5 clips about various subjects. And the last one, I said, okay, good, that's that. And I just walked away and I went in my office in another room and I did a few things, and I just realized when I got back to my desk 10 minutes later, I never shut that thing off. I guess it's been recording whatever I did. I didn't do much. But one thing I did that, it brought to my attention. Some people like Tammy, who's a patient of mine, a very good friend actually, she said to me, did you pee at like 2:45? What happened to pee at 2:45? I go, probably. Yeah, matter of fact, I was right around there. Yeah, because I finished the clip, the last one. She goes, well, that's on the clip, and you could hear you very clearly peeing. So I said, that's right, I did, and you're right. So she sent me an email for that. So at first I kind of panicked. I said, that can't go out. It was already out there, and some people had already listened to it. And so I was trying to call her and my girl Kira, who works with me. Pretty much does everything. Neither of them were available. Her and Tammy and of course I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, well, I guess they have other parts of their life too, right? But when I don't know how to cancel those or shut them down or make them not public. So I have a clip out there of me peeing at the end, and I'm like Mr. Transparency because most of the stuff I think is funny, and I don't have a problem me being the butt of the joke, but. If you're one of the lucky ones that got me peeing, I guess we can call that a collector's item or something, because I think it was probably it's just a human mistake, and I think people like that. They have somebody who gets caught peeing and laughs about it. So I have another one. One of the things I recorded was I do have what I think are funny stories, and if I hear enough times that are not funny, then I'll stop telling them. But here's one that most people wouldn't tell about themselves, and I just think it's hilarious. When you see people in the like Walmart or in some kind of dollar store or something, and they're doing something, and you say, how can they do that in public? And don't people have pride, or just how can they do that? That guy that you'll say to somebody else, the people that do this, and they'll say, oh yeah, I see him all the time. Yeah, I said, well, you'll know at a certain stage in your life when you become that guy, and maybe I'm that guy in some areas that I don't know that I'm that guy, but one area that I did was I definitely arrived as that guy. It took me 69 years to get that title, I guess, where I was aware of it anyways. So I got I was relaxing at home, but I couldn't relax. I was really restless and itchy, and I kind of felt like I was going to die. I was like, this went on for a few hours. I'm like, so I took off my shirt, and then my wife looked at my back and said, you got a big bullseye there. So we know what that means. So she said, better go right up to the emergency room. I said, well, I'm a time freak. If you know me, I'm just a freak. I measure everything in time, and I can't, go up there a certain hour because I'll have to wait. So I go up whenever I go to the hospital for something small. One time I had a really infected, hangnail, which is brutal. They wanted to lance it, so the guy put a needle in it, and the needle hurt much more than lancing it. But I'd say, okay, I'm going to go up there like at 1 o'clock in the morning because there'll be nobody there, or there'll be minimal. So I go up, and that was true, and they took me in. I'm talking away. I think there was 1 or 2 people in the waiting room, and I'm talking to them. And, it happened to be a night that I don't talk all that much, but it happened a night that I was even noticing myself. And, even though I don't feel yucky, I'm talking. So, you talk to the nurse, and you talk to the doctor, and the nurse comes back, and I'm yapping away. And so they said, oh, yeah, we'll give you some antibiotics for that. which was amazing because when I took them, I don't know if this is possible. I'm lucky with all the people get Lyme and you're suffering. I took them and I really felt like amazingly different in minutes, and there was never a problem again. Never had any incident or anything. And I don't know anything about Lyme, but maybe if you catch it immediately, you can knock it out, or maybe it was just lucky. But I've never had that. Was probably 10 years ago. So they give me the prescription, and I go up. There's a drugstore just up the street, and so CVS, and so I go in there, and there's no one in there. It's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning by now, and so I'm just doing something uncharacteristically. I'm yapping away with the pharmacist, and another customer comes strolling in. It was pretty much a ghost town, but I'm yapping away. I was aware of it, so I'm thinking to myself, geez, I'm one of those guys now. And so tell you a life story, and I don't even pay attention to them, and they won't stop. So I get the prescription, and this is related a little bit to I have my series of fast food karma, where I was a vegetarian or vegan for probably 25 years, and I decided to start eating animals again because my daughter and her friends, it was just too hard to say no to everything. So there is a link to food here, and perhaps you can say there's karma. So I thought all the animals were going to come after me. I started dreaming of animals stopping me, and so there's McDonald's right next door. So I said, I'm a French fry freak. I said, I found some better ones. I mean, growing up, McDonald's were always the best, but Five Guys, I'm telling you, man, Five Guys, that chain in the United States, I don't eat the burgers too much, but the French fries are out of control. So I'd rather have them, but I'm next to McDonald's, and it's 3 in the morning. So I pull up, and I'm ordering the French fries. I'm kind of talking to the girl a little bit, and she says, yeah, keep move on, so much, in so many words. So I get the French fries, and I get back on the road. I'm going to eat them like we all do in my car, and on the way, and drop half of them down between the seat. And so I go to bite on the French fry. I go to put it in my mouth, and something's dramatically wrong. Something's like really, like, what's wrong? It felt like I'd never felt before. It was something. I was scared. I'm driving. I said, what's wrong with my mouth? I thought maybe what's going on? Is this something to do with the limes, or I didn't take the antibiotic yet? So I'm like, well, this is, I pull over, and what I realized was this. Back in the 70s, I had my teeth kicked in at a brawl at a Led Zeppelin concert in Boston Garden, and it was so bad that I got a dental plate. So I get used to it, and when I was home at night relaxing, I took it out. So I went up to the hospital and the drugstore without my dentures in, and you know how you've all seen those people that they're yapping away in line at Costco or something, and you're saying to yourself, yeah, and you're saying, how the fuck can that guy do that? Put in some teeth. And how do you eat your food? You eat yogurt all the time? And, you're thinking, like, who is this person, and how can they do that? Well, I realize I've graduated to that person. I always wanted some kind of a title, and I don't have a title. And I really wanted to, be acknowledged for what I do that's unique. And maybe there's others in the crowd. We're a pretty good sized group of people. We're everywhere. But I graduated to that guy. That guy doesn't have his teeth in, he's out in public, and he's yapping away and talking, doesn't know enough to shut up. And when I bit on that French fry, I didn't have the denture in. And that's what it felt like. I was like, what's going on? And then I thought, all those people I talked to were just looking at me going, he's that guy. How can he do that? Well, hopefully all of us can get to a point where we're that guy or that girl for something. That's one of my, reach one of my goals. So I'm ready to start taking questions and try to answer them. And as usual, I'm technologically challenged, so I'm trying to put the chat up again. But this is something every week with me, like taking a piss without turning the recording off. So I don't see it yet. If you're trying to give me send a question, let me know. Or I'll have Tammy will probably send me a message. Where we go? We have Sandy S. Okay, Sandy, I thought you'd be on here today. I missed you. Hey, we spoke Sunday and got disconnected. Sorry about that. All right. So what do we need to talk about? What were we talking about and didn't complete? Or you just tell me you're sorry? So at least I know, Sandy, the chat now is working because you sent me something. And I'll wait for your further request. And I know you, Sandy, you're going to have more questions for me. You never run out of questions. Sandy, by the way, is one of the nicer people I've ever met. She's a patient, but she's also one of the smartest, meaning that she'll think of every possible question, every angle, and she doesn't leave anything out. And those are the people that give me my best education because they make me dig, you know. They make me dig for it. She said you need a wig, LOL. Yeah, you know, Sandy has, I think she's in Canada, and she makes wigs, if that's what you actually call them, hair pieces. And I told her, I said, I'm trying to get one that will be like a comb over one, like, you know, so I can wear it out and be that guy that, you know, besides the no teeth guy, I can be the comb over guy. And you know about those, man. You know, so I'm trying to get her to design a wig for me that just has a few strands of hair and I can comb it over right below my left ear, my right ear, and swoop it all the way over, and no one will know, right? No one will ever know unless the wind blows. So, Sandy, I hope you can hook me up. Okay, we got Mandy here. She's another one of our friends. She's really cool. Dr. Snow, I have a question from a friend who has multiple sclerosis. Uh-oh. They have seen lots of research relating this to the gut. Are you aware of any? No, I'm not. I haven't seen that. I don't read a lot of research anymore. I'm kind of the source for me. I don't know about that, so I'm not going to really ramble on about the fact I just don't know it. It doesn't surprise me, you know. You've also got the gut-brain barrier, connection, which is a massive subject. And when they started opening up these microbiome research centers, one of them I think in the UK or Ireland or somewhere, all kinds of stuff's coming out of there. I'm like, wow, you know, I'm near the end of my career. Don't start making me read about 83 different uses of lactobacillus. I just have the one I need and how to use it. But no, I'm sorry, Mandy, I don't. Okay, here's another one of my friends. Laurie, what's the difference between a flare and gas acid? Okay. Well, a flare-up tends to be whatever symptoms you have. You know, if you have bleeding, if you have diarrhea, and the mechanics of it are that it's always going to be about something aggravating it. You know, a flare-up can come about on its own, and we don't always know why. But typically, it would come after you've eaten something that aggravated your system. Sometimes stress can bring it on, never causes it, and you'd be surprising how much your gut is resistant to stress. It doesn't bring it on that often. But it's usually going to be something you ate, drank, and not usually drank. It would have to be pretty toxic. And gas, if I understand, you said gas acid. Not sure how you're using that term. You might clarify that for me. You get a flare-up of gas when you're not digesting something like I was going to talk about later today. I'll just mention it now and talk more about it later. Our software in our gut, that if you don't have the software, you're not going to be able to identify and digest foods. And when they go in the gut, there's a timer where they need to go at different stages of the digestion. And if they don't move fast enough, they ferment and cause gas. And they're fermenting because when it does that, it reduces the volume of the thing. It takes all the fluid out of it, and that's when the stool gets hard. The stool gets hard like that because it's trying to reduce the size of it. It gets rid of all the water. And the body tries to just to be economical, don't take up much space, and get the hell out. Tries to get it out, and if it get like that, hard like that, we got to take something like magnesium, which pulls water in. And but we'll talk more about the software. I think I did talk about it last week. It's one of my favorite subjects. I got to write a book on it because I think it's as Mandy says. You got to joke with Mandy and all my UK people. They use the term brilliant, and I think it means like a brilliant idea, or brilliant like I'm really happy this, brilliant. And so I just told Mandy, and she'll probably remember that and confer that whenever someone from UK says brilliant, I always automatically turn it into it. They're saying it about me, not just saying it about the way they use it. As a matter of fact, I tell them using the term wrong. So, what to do for light headaches? This is the same person. We spoke yesterday. Well, light headaches can be caused by a lot of things. I mean, light headache could be low blood sugar. That's the most common thing. Something toxic in your system, light, anything from drinking coffee when you shouldn't be. Relevant to our conversation, I gotta see Sandy's comment. Excuse me a second, Laurie. Trump style. Well, that's the most sophisticated comb over that goes in 9 different directions, and I think that, I don't know, you must be very talented, Sandy, if you can come up with one of those. I just need a simple comb over. But Laurie, lightheadedness, I wasn't able to answer yesterday, and I'm not able to today. I know you said under certain circumstances I had to say I don't know, but here's always my answer. It's my out, so to speak, because it's true. We put Humpty Dumpty back together again. See, I have one protocol, but everyone I treat, there's, 30, 40, 50,000, name it, I don't know what it is, people I've treated, they've all gotten a different version of it. One protocol that works, which is brilliant, right? We got one protocol, but we stretch it like the guy at the carnival that makes up balloons, Mickey Mouse and then giraffe and whatever. That one protocol goes out, so it's been applied thousands of times. So what I'm getting at is, if you say to me, I got gas and lightheadedness and I don't know how to fix it specifically, because I do tell people there's no protocol for gas. There's not even a really specific supplement. Gas is representative that you don't have things out of control in your gut, the software. So we put everything back in, put the software back in there, and that's when things go away. So I don't always have an answer what's causing it. I have the answer to what makes it go away. It's the most frustrating symptom, that and bloating, that I treat. Trump style, you funny, Sandy. Okay, Tammy, should we all take serapeptase just in case of scar tissue happening? Yeah, Tammy's been on my back about this scar tissue. If anyone wants to ever take a course in persistence, we have 2 people on here right now. We have Sandy and Tammy. They're like pit bulls until you answer that question. Right, Tammy? Sandy? Now, if you have scar tissue, our conversation had been about on the esophagus, will serapeptase take care of it? And of course that would apply anywhere. I believe it does, but it's so long term that I can't say for sure, because I'll tell people this might take 10 years. Okay, and if you have scar tissue, the way to confirm if you have scar tissue on the esophagus, for instance, is an endoscopy. Okay, if you had surgery for something lower GI, you can assume you have scar tissue. And then we determine, is it causing a problem? If you have scar tissue in the esophagus, that's what's the term? I'm trying to think of the Gerd. That's Gerd. And the problem with that is that, and Tammy had mentioned this one time, I believe, is I've said that if you're cruising along with no symptoms, no, excuse me, say it a different way. If you're cruising along but you have symptoms, and all of a sudden it goes dark, no symptoms. Hey, hallelujah, I wasn't doing anything, but I don't have any symptoms. Not necessarily good, because you could have been building enough scar tissue that on that particular time, the lights went out and it was like the scar tissue completely covered up the last part of the tissue that wasn't healed, and now you have a wall of scar tissue, and it's hard to tissue to function. In the esophagus, it's like cardboard. I had a grandmother who we didn't know what she was doing for a lot of years. She'd eat, and she'd go for a walk, and she'd throw it up because she couldn't swallow it. Little bits would go down, and she had Gerd before there was really a name for it. And the old school way of treating that is to stretch the esophagus. They put a thing down there and stretch it. That's going to last for about 10 minutes. But if you have scar tissue, it can be a good thing in terms of just the body's healing. And if it's not bothering anything, we all have some scar tissue. But if the pain goes silent all of a sudden, it's like neuropathy in the feet. You don't want it to go. It's terrible pain. But if it goes dead, if it goes silent, that means the nerves have died. You have a bigger problem. So my answer about, she says, Tammy's asking about preventative measure. If you suspect you've had it, if you've had chronic esophageal inflammation, then it's a good idea to take serapeptase. It'll also do other things for you. Any lumps or bumps or things that aren't supposed to be hanging around, it'll take care of them in the long run. It probably has a lot more application, but I don't know them. We got our buddy here, Daniel. What are my thoughts about cyberscan biofeedback that some practitioners use to treat patients? It's a card that patients wear that provides feedback to a machine. Way beyond me, Danny, and I'll make a comment. I'm an old schooler guy. I just know my process works. So when people are using biofeedback things or, all those things, I see them unnecessary for me. I don't know enough about it to say, hey, maybe it's fantastic. I'm not going to go research that because I don't need to for my purposes. But I know you're doing really good. And if you think you need to pursue it, as long as it's not invasive, I would. But I don't know enough about it. Okay, is it Danny? Yeah. Do you know why anxiety, depression often accompanies Crohn's? Is it that serotonin levels are affected by the damage gut? Yeah. Here's one of my favorite subjects I haven't talked about. I like talking about this. Your body uses hormones, for various things. And the source for the hormones is cholesterol. Cholesterol. And that's the same thing we're sweeping out of our body with these drugs, statin drugs. So on the package of the drugs, it'll say, can have these symptoms. Or on TV, the 45-minute thing, just talking about the symptoms, right? And they're all symptoms that have to do with hypo or low hormones. So when you take a statin drug, I'm not saying you are, but I'm just setting up the answer. If you take a statin drug, you're sweeping out the very stuff that hormones are made out of. Cholesterol. I watched that product launch, those products, and that whole concept launch. They spent years honing their spiel that, we're gonna reintroduce this term and we're gonna rebrand it as an enemy. And we got to get it out of your body, and your cholesterol is always going to be up there some because it's supposed to be. And when you artificially take it out, the body surges and puts out more because it says, we need this. It's a scam. So what happens is that when you don't have the cholesterol, the body can't take its raw material and build a hormone. And you can be depressed from that. Impotence. Okay? What else does the body need hormones for? Mood. Sleeping, pain control. So how to morph over to really more directly what you asked about is that when you're in chronic pain, you're using up a lot of hormones. And those hormones could be going to other places. On one hand, you can say, well, I'm depressed because I'm in pain. But there's a more clinical answer to that. You're depressed, perhaps, or have anxiety because you don't have enough hormones to calm you. If I reached in and just took some of your cholesterol out of your body, within minutes you'd be showing some symptom of, could be type 2 diabetes. Or type 2. Type 1 is a definite insulin insufficiency. We could make you artificially like that by taking away your inability to produce insulin. So think about the implications of lowering your cholesterol that way. And if I owned a drug company, I'd want to get that out to the market because it opens the door to all our other stuff. Depression medications, pain medications, erectile dysfunction, and you need to know that is ruining your hormonal structure. And relevant again to your question is that's unavoidable unless you put stuff in your body that will rebuild the hormones, the cholesterol. You want to start, I had people laughing at me years ago. I used to talk about eating fats. Eat a bunch of fat. Get your cholesterol up there. Bunch of fat. This trans fatty acid thing, bullshit. You want to take, if you're healthy, you have the probiotic bacteria in you. It'll take any fat you ingest, rearrange the molecular structure, and spit out perfect cholesterol. And your drug's going to swoop that right out. That's true. Probiotics are so smart. Something I haven't talked a lot about. They're so smart, they can take whatever you ingest and rearrange the molecular structure and make whatever your body needs out of that. So that's one of the people say to me all the time. They say, I think I'm smarter because I started taking the probiotics. Probably are, the brain chemistry. If you really want to boost your brain chemistry, take spirulina, okay, trace minerals, and one that I didn't mention before is ginkgo biloba. It's like the chauffeur. Not many things can pass through the brain, blood-brain barrier very easily, and spirulina is one of them, and ginkgo is one of them, and it'll pull the trace minerals through there. When it gets into the brain, it lights it up like a neon sign. So if you're depressed, I was drinking, me and a friend were drinking, buying 5-pound kegs of it, and we're mixing it with juice and drinking it a day. We took like 3 years worth every day. Well, people started getting mad at us. I remember one time I went to the beach and some guy walked up. What's so funny? I go, what do you mean funny? He goes, what's the big smile? I said, I'm just happy. I said, I drank a lot of spirulina. And he looking at me, he says, yeah, knock it off. I go, smiling, knock it off? He goes, yeah, you look too happy. So that's what happens when you turn those happy circuits in the brain, but you got to get through the blood-brain barrier, and it opens up and lets some other things come in. Ginkgo's the circulation guy. It drives everything down to the, toes, up into the brain, out to the extremities. And so how did I get there from the answering your question is that you need to ingest things that will raise your cholesterol levels, and don't take cholesterol lowering medication, and that'll help the pain. If it's chronic pain, there's no other way to deal with it. Increase your fat intake. I was saying 30 years ago, fat does not block the arteries. It's still true. What blocks the arteries? Undigested calcium is one of them. You're taking those stupid calcium pills without magnesium in it. Magnesium is what liquefies the calcium, and if you don't liquefy it, can't get through and where it's going to go. It's going to hang out in the blood vessel. It's like laying tile down. That's what you got. If you're worried about that, you think you have that, take magnesium. You'll be peeing out magnesium. Like we had the Tums lady one year on the radio who was told, take Tums, and she was eating a tremendous amount of rolls or boxes, however it comes in, a day, and she didn't have a bowel movement for 3 or 4 months because she had one big, like a cue ball of calcium blocking her, and we gave her tons of magnesium, and she was hearing ping, ping, ping in her toilet bowl. Okay, let's see where to go back to where we were. Sandy S. is back. Anything else can be good for scar tissue, as we spoke about it last time. And are you going to get back to it? I heard marshmallow herb is good. Well, one thing I know, I forget the names of it, that shit they sell, and you know what? Tammy could tell us what it is. I forget the name of it. The oil you put on there, it's got some kind of it's not Moderna, it sounds something like that. Tammy knows what that is. Aisle 3, right, Tammy? And that doesn't work. Putting something on that, like, I don't know, unless there's something new on it. I've seen that not work a bunch of times. No, I don't know. Only wobenzyme and serapeptase. And I've used a lot of the wobenzyme for that, but it's so damn slow. To put on it, I got a secret for you. I got a secret. I'm so glad I know these obscure things. I'm kind of an obscure guy. And I don't remember my phone number, but I know this. Okay, nobody knows this. My claim to fame is they say things that no one else has ever said. Here's the secret. I just thought of it because I pulled it out of my memory box here. Anything that's supposed to do something like externally. Oil, I put the oil, that's all that thing is bullshit oil. Some kind of, safflower oil. And you put it on there, it's supposed to penetrate? Bullshit, it's not going to penetrate unless, here's the secret. No one else has ever said this. DMSO, dimethyl sulfate oxide. So, I'm not saying it right, dimethyl sulfane oxide. It was the big rage back in the 70s because it's something that'll get rid of arthritis temporarily. They found people were in the tree industry up in Maine. All this water comes out of the trees when they break it down to paper. And it's that molecule I just said. I'm not going to try to say it again. And a sister one is DMSO and MSM. So here's what we're going to get to. You got your scar. Put some of that bullshit oil on it. It's not going to penetrate. Except for we take DMSO. It's a penetrator. They use it in parts. I don't know what kind of parts, like industrial parts that accumulate oil and stuff, because it penetrates the stuff. It's amazing. It penetrates and then get off hard to remove grease and oil and stuff. But you put it on your surface of your skin, it drives everything down. It penetrates. It'll take that oil and put it into that scar. That's how you do it. And toenail fungus, all that bullshit that they tell you to do is not penetrating the nail. You got to put it on. You put that stuff on, Lamisil, whatever, then you put DMSO on top of it. It's going to drive it into the nail. In some cases, I've seen where the nail looked wet, and you say, "Wow, look at that stuff just sitting there," and then boom, it said after it dries it, the nail is like dry. It says, "Where'd the stuff go?" It penetrates a DMSO. If you have a particular thing like a knee or an elbow that's always nagging you, you want a different way to try to deal with the pain, crush the pill like an aspirin into a powder, make a little paste, just a little saliva, put it on your elbow. Then put the DMSO on top of it. It's going to drive the aspirin or whatever you use into the joint, into the tissue that you're treating. So that's what I get to say about that. Persistence is key, Tammy says. Oh, Sandy says, yeah. Another comment. Tammy says, don't go with Trump. Don't go there. I agree. Persistence is a key. Sandy, you're right. Let's see. Is pizza, this is Contractor, right? Contractor 22. Is pizza bad to eat for people with Crohn's or colitis, and why? Well, it's a yes or no answer. It's by the way, I tried one of those cauliflower pizzas. Oh my god. Oh my god. Talk about horrible. If you like that, man, I get it. You know, you're the same person that you're like that person that can drink Jai Select just in water. I had a guy up in Canada, he just put in his mouth powder, he slowly swallowed every 5 minutes, like, wow. But if you can drink the GI Select with just water, you're that guy. Or, let me get back to what I was reading. Pizza, cauliflower pizza. Oh my God. No, you shouldn't eat it if it has a couple of things in there you might have trouble with: the dairy, and the gluten. Okay, in the pizza crust. Other than that, I mean, it's totally innocent. If you have don't have a problem with that, you should not have a problem at all, because it's only about the fact that you have an intolerance of those things. But other than that, pizza's totally fine. Okay. In contrast, it comes back again with, do you believe stress is a major role player in Crohn's and colitis? Have you ever heard of a German new medicine? It's yes. If yes, what are your thoughts on that? Have you ever heard of the German new medicine? I don't know if that's the name of it, but no, I haven't heard of any German medicine. Is that relevant to stress and Crohn's? Colitis? Yeah, my answer about that is that definitely do not cause the stress. It does not cause the Crohn's or colitis. But the issue is that it can aggravate it. Why? You have a lack of mucosal lining exposing the tissue to your own stomach acids primarily through digestion. When we have anxiety, fight or flight, stress, we increase more acid. The body becomes acidic. Why? Well, because it's like a fire on fire. Oftentimes the body doesn't know what's going on. It wants to cover all bases, so it spews out massive amounts of digestive acids, because you might be poisoned. It doesn't know exactly what happened. So when you have a lack of mucosal lining, and then here comes the extra acid. By the way, I want to comment about the pizza and the dairy and the milk. The problem with dairy and gluten, those foods aren't evil. The problem is that most foods are simple carbohydrate, protein, or fat. That's three groups. And they don't require a certain amount of sophistication, not much sophistication or acid to digest, because they're simple. Here's some celery. It doesn't have 9 other things in it. Now, dairy has protein, carbohydrate, and fat, all in one package. So it requires a stronger, more intelligent software. It needs to be able to identify those three things. Oh, you're that, and you're that. And not only that, in quantity, proportion to each other, because it sends a signal to the hardware, and the perioral cells send out the right acids in the right combinations. That's why it's good to eat slow. because it gives it a little more time to think. You'll have a bellyache oftentimes because the body says, we couldn't keep up with you. So, so when you eat those foods, if you don't have enough software to identify, and then if you don't have enough mucosal lining, which is the same thing, to coat the stomach wall, then the extra acid, they're going to need an extra acid because it has 3 food groups in there. So you need acid for carbohydrate, protein, and fat. And if you're sitting there with colitis and you don't have enough mucosal lining, you're going to get bombed with acid because of what you ate. It required more acid. Okay. Let's see, Timmy. How do you get the liquid probiotic colostrum mixture for Gerd to work at the top of the throat? Gargle first before swallowing? Exactly. You know, those are things you put in your mouth, swish it around. I mentioned something on a clip the other day. Dental care. You're supposed to have the probiotics. It's in your saliva, supposedly, and it's all over your gums and your teeth. And there are companies, I think, Designs for Health is one that makes a probiotic toothpaste, where it has the probiotics that you need for the teeth, not just any old probiotics they need for the teeth and the gums right in there. What we do is when you have geographic tongue, which is like a lot of bumps on there, have any kind of like even canker sores, is that you take a mouthful of it. People are always asking me when you take things, how much liquid do I take with it? Like if it's something like colloidal silver with water, I want to clear this up so I don't have to answer as many times. When I say, for instance, colloidal silver, which is another thing you can take for gargle with, natural antibiotic for like canker sores or infected gums or something, I say take it with water. It doesn't matter because you're going to say how much water. It doesn't matter. You just want enough water so you can actually get it in your mouth and gargle with it. You don't want 1 ounce. You want 8, 10, 12 ounces just so there's enough there volume to get in there and swish it around. With the liquid probiotic, you swish it around, swallow it, and you definitely do not eat or drink for at least an hour afterwards because you want to let the film. Someone talked about this earlier today. Someone said they could imagine drinking milk and it would leave a film. And I said, yeah, that's what the liquid probiotic and the colostrum do, and you don't want to eat afterwards. It doesn't matter what you eat before. It's only afterwards because we don't want to wash away the stuff that's trying to grab onto and grow on our esophagus or our throat. Okay, Danny. Now, Danny, I'm not sure. I thought you were the one that made some Seinfeld references, like no soup for you, and I just want to make sure that you are indeed the master of your domain. Okay, and you're going to win that contest. So if you're a Seinfeld fan, you know what I mean. Tammy Lynn, what other things are good for the burning just at the top of the esophagus? You can see where she's focused. That's why I meant pitbull. It seems like that is a tough spot to heal. Oh, alternating gargling and swallowing with colloidal silver. Another thing is anything like royal jelly, propolis. I don't know if they're different. I think they're the same thing, actually. The beehive. That was big in the 70s. I was taking bee products. Well, I one time had it was actually before I was going to get married. It was like a day before or something. I had been running and just ended up with just incredibly sore throat. And all I could think of was running and it was really windy, and maybe I was breathing in. The wind was impacting my throat or something, but maybe I was just dry. But anyways, someone said, hey, get some propolis. So I got some propolis lozenges at a health food store. Amazing. Just boom. And so they also very healing. They're not just like a lozenge and suck on like Ludens or something. They're medicinal. And so the names are propolis and or royal jelly, which usually comes in a little jar, and it's like jelly. But this stuff is made by the bees in the beehive as like a natural antibiotic, and so the hive doesn't get infected. So the combination would be to the silver, the liquid probiotic, and the royal jelly is in the lozenges of the propolis. So if you take the propolis in just capsules, it won't do what we want. We want direct application. And so the gooey royal jelly, is it good to take? It tastes, it's like honey. And you take a teaspoon, whatever you want to take, and you suck on it and play around in your mouth and slowly swallow it. And don't drink anything afterwards and eat anything, and that'll really speed it up. Let's see. How about Sandy? I was told that Crohn's is a predominantly Jewish thing, and it was because of the stress of the Holocaust survivors that was passed on to their children. Well, first of all, if it was due to the stress of the survivors, it wouldn't be something passed down the genes. I saw that theory. That was one of the original theories. I don't believe it at all. I have plenty of Jewish patients, and they have not out of proportion to anybody else. And so I know for sure it's what... I did think about this earlier, Sandy. I thought about when I was talking earlier about stress. I wonder if the extreme stress of the Holocaust, could there be anything more stressful? Could cause the colitis and the burning of the GI tract. I'm just trying to picture those poor people. Unless they were fed antibiotics, probably not. I don't know if they were really given any food other than bread. I would still say no. I don't know of any connection. I tell people, as far as inheriting things, because your uncle and your sister's friend and their brother had it, is that what you all inherited was the same environment, with the same. You didn't inherit from great-grandmother, because she wasn't alive, or majority of her life anyways, through the time when spoon-fed antibiotics. You inherit the environment. You inherit the drinking water, the bathing water, the animals, and the animal farm runoff, which FARM, the chemicals that they're given the animals, and when they pee, and it goes out into the water. That's what you inherited, not being Jewish and getting an inflammatory bowel condition. What else we have here? Tammy, I think this mask 12 hours a day at work is hindering my esophagus healing. Is that possible? I have a sore throat every day as well. I can write you a note. Say, need a break, and let me know. Mara seems like a new name. I don't think I've seen Mara. What probiotics are best to use? I'm having problems getting VSL3 shipped to my area. Any other brands that are suitable? Okay, VSL3, I don't know if there's still a VSL3. I know the company was sold and they call it Biome something. I'm very familiar with that formula. They're muscular formulas. They're aggressive formulas, and I think they were originally sold through doctors' offices who didn't really understand probiotics. You can't just put some strains of bacteria in a bottle and then say, there you go. You want to use the ones mother made. What's the single best probiotic? The ones that come from breast milk. Go suck on a breast. Okay? If that's not practical, I had a woman who was sucking her own breast, and I don't know if that was needed. Does it? Another question we haven't answered yet was, do wet nurses produce colostrum? I didn't even start. I was meant to look it up. If anyone knows, if you're a wet nurse and I don't know how many there are around anymore, but do they produce colostrum? And I would guess they do. The probiotics there's companies like, I think PBA is pretty good. Believe it or not, a company like Now, who's a kind of a discount brand, excellent products, by the way. They have a bunch of choices. You want formulas that will mimic the strains of bacteria that come in breast milk. And Pharmax is the one I was struggling for. Pharmax. These companies actually took breast milk. Could have done this 50 years ago. Who knows how long ago it was? Quite a while. And they started using that as a batch, like starter for like you would for yogurt. And you have strains of bacteria. So the best possible you can get are human strains. Okay, check out Pharmax HLC. HCl? HLC is that. And we're still waiting for someone to make a product with colostrum and probiotics in the same bottle. I'll tell you real quick something that was amazing for me. I invented a product that involved those things. And a company contacted me, and they wanted me to invent it, wanted me to make it, and I did. And I had already written about it, and so I had a contract. The numbers are unbelievable. Maybe you won't believe me, but I had a contract that was worth multiple millions of dollars to share a patent and share the profits of a drug company, to the profits in such ways, they're contractual. And the rule with patents is that you can't whatever you're trying to patent, you can't have that out already in the public domain. You can't like write an article about it and then reveal it and then have a patent. Patent doesn't work that way. They don't allow it. So they hired all kinds of lawyers. That's what they do, patent lawyers, and they go searching and to see if it, before they invested, they were going to give me a bunch of millions up front, and then the payments started every month. And they'll come down, they were on my team, we're on the same team, but they had to cover their ass. So they found out that this subject, I had written a blog post whenever blogs first came about 15 years ago. Someone I was working with that built my website said, "Oh no, just put all the information out there. Don't be selfish." So I wrote an article on this very sophisticated subject. They found that thing from who knows what it was, 1992, and that nullified the whole thing because of an article I written. And by nature, I just said, "Ah, shit, that's too bad." I didn't dwell on it because I just didn't dwell on it. I guess I would be crestfallen if I did. This is the same person, my web developer. She was a witch. She had the keys to my passwords to my website, and she substituted my 800 number for her psychic friend. So everyone was calling up, was getting Sarah the psychic, and not getting me. It took us a few days. Somebody called up and said, "Are you the psychic?" I said, No, I don't think so. I'm bowel psychic. I can tell that you're gonna have, colitis. No, I'm not. So that was nice. I've had almost every kind of experience you can have. So Probiotics are brands like Pharmax, now PB8, Natrov is a really good one. One I used to use a lot of was DDS. I have no idea if they're still around. DDS, a lot of good ones. I prefer, by far actually, and the only reason I use it is because it works, is the Moss Nutrition, for several reasons. They have the right strains of bacteria and the right ratio. I think of the constellations, they're always in the right same, you look up, it's always the same every night. Or a snowflake, you look at the crystalline under a microscope, wow, that's the way probiotics are supposed to come, like an outlet. You're supposed to have the prongs that lined up with the slots in the outlet. Well, you have slots in your, you have receptor sites in your cells. And nutrition comes to you in a certain configuration. Ideally, it's the same configuration as the slots, and it plugs right in. Moss Nutrition has that. And I don't think they know it. I'm not, I don't hang out with those people. I've spoken to them. They're awesome people. I don't know if they know what they have. I found many times companies that sell things or even invented them. They don't know everything about their product. Moss Nutrition will give you a tip. The right configuration, the right strains, and I wouldn't use them. My butt's on the line. Every person I treat, on the line to get that fixed. If it was ABC, Probiotic, I would use it. I use Pharmax sometimes, and use some of these other companies rarely, but I would use them all the time if they were the one. The king of the hill was somebody who's been in this industry longer than anybody, has looked at probiotics more than anybody, is Moss Nutrition. So, and they only have one variation of it because that's all they need. What else we got here? Larry, when I take probiotic other than SB, Saccharomyces boulardii, it will cause me to not go to the bathroom even more than I already do, and I will be done for the day and miserable. What am I doing wrong? Well, how much do you need the probiotic? That's the first thing we go, do you need the probiotic? If you're just taking it because you think it's a great idea, like I want to take probiotics, then fine, except for if it doesn't agree with you. If you have a reason, and maybe you can do now, tell me if you want to share it or not, then you shouldn't take it. And I hate to have you go and buy tons of different bottles and, say, well, try another one. You've already done that. Are you taking it with colostrum? Or here's the other one. The real good answer is dilute it. Open up the capsule and put it in a tall glass of water and drink it. You don't have to drink the whole thing. Drink it because then it's dispersed into, that's a dilution. And it's suspended in this fluid, and it weakens the possibility of side effects. When you take something homeopathically and you dilute it, you're actually bring it down to the particle size, parts per million, is minuscule, and the more you dilute it, the less likely it's going to have any physical impact like a symptom. But believe it or not, it makes it more powerful. Because what you're doing is the way they process these things, eventually the particle sheds its shell, what's holding it together, and it disperses all the information that's in that food or a plant or something like that. Homeopathy is a massive subject. Let's see, what are you doing wrong? My suggestion there, Laurie, dilute it. You get the benefit of the dilute it with colostrum and probiotic in that water. Open up a capsule and just dump it in there and drink a tall glass of water, and you'll get the benefit. Or consider that you don't even need it. Every time I take Espelarti, I get severe diarrhea within 30 minutes. What can I take instead? Well, that comes up. There's a list of supplements I prescribe that are so valuable that even though one of every maybe 50 people will have a problem, I still prescribe it because of the upside. And then out of the 3 or 4 supplements that I prescribe that have the greatest potential to, even though it's rare, to cause a reaction is Espelarti, and it can cause the opposite. We're taking it for diarrhea, and Espelarti, it does the opposite. Now, colostrum, because it's a dairy product, a lot of people don't know they have a dairy issue. It's so subtle. They find out when they take a concentrated, it's a small amount, but it's concentrated at the same time in colostrum. That's one. If you say to me, I'm having a problem, I'll think, do I ever take colostrum? And GI Select. Everyone seems to be prescribed GI Select by me. Why is that a problem? Oh, it's not a problem so much as it has the potential. It's got a long list of things in it. And anytime you have a long list, that increases the potential that something in there could not agree with you. Especially if you have an altered mucosal lining. Why do I prescribe it then? It's so valuable that you can't ignore it. And what I do when someone comes back and says, well, I'm having a problem, I'll usually say stop taking it to see if your problem goes away, whatever it may be, to see if your problem goes away. And then if it doesn't, we say, well, it's something else. Go back and take your stuff again. As far as what to do for that, the other supplements that let's see, make sure I know what I'm treating here when I take probiotic other than SP. Okay, the answer is always increase the dosage of the other supplements in your protocol, because it's never SB, Saccharomyces boulardii, never doesn't actually heal anything. It just controls things while the troops are coming for the rescue. If we're talking about diarrhea when you're taking Espelarti, you must be. The other supplements actually do the healing, and we just increase the dosage of those. There's no other direct duplication or substitution for Saccharomyces boulardii. There's a lot of brands that make it, but you would take the other supplements. Let's see. Oh yeah, Tammy writes Pharmax HLC. Yeah, they're out of the UK, but they sell other products here. They sell a lot of the brain gut barrier supplements. They sell one called Mind Links. A lot of people are taking them because they want their kids to be smarter, and they want them to win those spelling bees. So, can the Vovic vaccine trigger IBD? Well, it can possibly trigger if you have it. It certainly doesn't create it out of nothing. I haven't seen it. I had one person tell me that it triggered their caused them a flare up. Yes, I did, but I haven't had anybody else tell me. So I'm going to say yes, it could, but it doesn't cause it. Sorry that it was a typo. This is our friend Laurie. I did not say that. Did I not go? It caused me to go more than I already do, thus wiping out. Let me reconcile that, Larry. Go back to the original. When I take probiotic other than SP, it will cause me to go to the bathroom even more. Then the corrected version is, sorry, that was a typo. I did not say that I did not go. It caused me to go more than I already do, thus wiping me out. Well, I think I answered that way. Some things will cause you the opposite effect. if I'm reading it right, because this isn't my forte of answering questions, and sometimes if they're very detailed, I'm thinking too many things at once. Let me take an extra second. Sorry, I did not say that I did not go. It caused me to go even more. That's how I interpret it. You stop taking the supplement and increase the dosage of all the other supplements you're taking. Another thing that will control loose stool and diarrhea is fiber, dietary fiber. Believe it or not, everyone thinks that cleans the yolk. No, it helps firm the stool and train the peristaltic motion, which is usually important. We got Danny here. What is the best supplement to build bones after being on? Was it prednisone? Well, there's all kinds of fancy combos out there. The bone building combos. The problem they have with that is that they have a lot of stuff in there. Let me get a drink, please. I'm drinking scotch here. Of course I'm not. The formulas, this is a problem, and I spoke to somebody earlier today about this. You'll see all these great things on the label, calcium building product, but the things in there, they're tiny dosage. You'll say, oh, it's got calcium, great, but it's only got like 1 milligram. Or some other thing, they're packing in different oils and vitamin D and stuff. You want to go for the big boys. That I call them the bullseye supplements, the ones that really matter, the nutrients. Calcium, magnesium, 2 to 1, twice as much magnesium and calcium. All this other stuff is window dressing. Vitamin D and all that, give me a break. It's not important. So if you have a formula in mind, you'll see probably 3, 4, 5, 10 items in there. You couldn't build a capsule big enough to have the proper dosage of each one of the nutrients, like we were talking about slippery elm and L-glutamine with somebody earlier. You need to measure those like in tablespoons. Okay, you can't fit a proper amount of those nutrients into one capsule. So you need to use the supplements that will build the bone, but in the right dosages. And with calcium and magnesium, you don't need to go into a liquid or a powder. You just need to take a bunch of whatever you have. It turns out that with calcium and magnesium, you're never going to need enough where it would be practical to go to a powdered formula and take tablespoons. So I'm a believer, old school, in the calcium, magnesium, twice as much magnesium, and also MSM. Anytime you take anything, if you want more out of it, you take it with MSM, which is the sister to the DMSO. There's no more questions right at the moment. We still got a little ways to go. Watch out, you better ask a question or you're going to hear another one of my stories. I have a million of them. So better ask quick. One time, I'm in one of my offices, and I was having something made up like a form, it was patient intake form. And this is before people were doing much of anything on the computer. People like me certainly didn't try to design anything. So there was a print shop in the area, and me and the guy had a contentious relationship. He was Egyptian or something, which is cool, but we just didn't connect. I don't know if it was language. And I was always kind of dissatisfied with this guy, but he's the only guy in town. He used to say, come on, man, do a good job for me this time. I'm tired of buying another 200 business cards. So I was creating this form, and we were kind of going back and forth on the computer, email. And we were trying to do this nutritional, it won't be a good story unless I remember what form it was. Nutritional form. What did he do? He shortened the term. So I'm going to have to remember. I shouldn't start stories until I remember it. It's hilarious because I almost went and punched out the guy because I misinterpreted what he wrote. He was abbreviating the term, and I thought he was calling me a nut. You see, I didn't see the attachment. I didn't know what it was. And he wrote nut form. I don't know what it was. He wrote nut. And I thought he was calling me a nut. And when I put on my coat, and one of my employees said, where are you going? I said, I'm going down and punch this guy out. Why? Because he's called me a nut. And the guy goes, what? Where do you call you a nut? So I go, right there. It says nut. He goes, that's an abbreviation for the email he sent you for attachment. It's called nut. It was another word there. Oh, he says, he's not calling me a nut? And he goes, no. He says, it's the nut form, nutritional form, NUT. So I was going down there and let him know. I thought I'd had enough. Thank God there was somebody there. I always have to have somebody with me to babysit me, because I was going to hop on a plane one time to go to L.A. and punch a guy. He was a sales rep and we were going at it. And L.A. had told meet me at the LAX. This was quite a while ago. And I was going to hop out. I got something to tell you, and I don't want to tell you on the phone. Secret information. And somebody stopped me there. I was getting a taxi there. So thank God. I always have to have somebody with me. Let's see. What do we got here? Saba, I'm intolerant to mold. My Great Plains mycotox profile came very high in these certain molds. S. boulardii being a type of yeast, I get diarrhea. Should I still take it? I can't even stay in a moldy room. Well, okay. You should stop taking anything you're quite sure bothers you. What we're told is there's so many types of yeasts that these Saccharomyces boulardii is not related to Candida and other kinds of yeast. So there's no chance of it causing a problem. I just know that some people have the opposite effect with Saccharomyces boulardii. I don't know why. And maybe they're not right, and maybe I don't know that there's a connection, that there's not such a friendly yeast. It's so friendly that I would say don't avoid taking it. I don't know much about molds. I do know this. If you raise the intelligence of your body, the immunity of your body, it'll become immune to anything like that. How do you do that? Well, the mucosal lining that we put in your gut contains that network of the proper bacteria. That's key. I can't emphasize it enough. The right strains of bacteria that are the ones that come out of breast milk. Nature's not making a mistake. It's giving you that set for a reason. And along with the colostrum. Colostrum has its own. I'm going to abbreviate the story here. I'm still trying to remember the form story because it's funny when it's told right. So what happens is that colostrum is a hormone, and it's passed on from mother to child like a baton in a race. And each generation learned how to do things. Way back, our ancestors had to learn some basic things like how to digest a carrot. Until they actually learned it, carrot would make them sick, maybe kill them, because it was toxic, because they didn't understand the molecular structure. So every time a mother would learn something along the way, digesting carrots, or learning anything, it would be stored in the colostrum and passed on. That's where the first thing the baby gets is colostrum. It gets a blast of the database from our ancestors, what they gathered. They weren't only hunting and gathering herbs and wood, they were intaking data. And then when the mother would have a baby, she'd install it. It's like a computer coming out of Apple computer. Man, boom, boom, boom. It's got the software, it's got everything else in there, operating system, you name it. And we're supposed to get that, but we don't when we don't nurse our children. And what about this? Here's another thought. I've never said this. I don't think anyone else said this before. What if you nursed your child and you've had antibiotics and you never put them back in? You never knew about them. About probiotics, you never knew you need to. And you go to nurse your child. You're only going to be able to give that child what you have. So if you took 2 rounds of antibiotics and you still have half your probiotics that will appear in your breast milk, that child's going to be half breast. That sounds like a funny thing to say. It's going to receive half of the mucosal lining probiotic bacteria. What about mom's mom, grandmother? What if somebody like in my age group, mothers didn't nurse as much? What if it just skipped a generation and you're a mom now and you didn't get it from your mother? Do you have enough to give? So is that why our children are coming up with peanut allergies and things, even though we nursed? You talk to a mother, I nursed for X number of weeks, months. What did you have to give? That's a subject, how do we test that? I guess they could test that in the lab, but how do we test it as a human being that's in the real world? The only way we can guess is if you have a child that you nursed who's still always sick, right from the colicky, right from the beginning. So as far as molds and things go, if you put that sacred strange bacteria that are in moss nutrition with colostrum in the body, it goes in the stomach. Just think of this world, beautiful swirling, like, the signs of an atom rotating like that. Just think of this amazing thing that's the key to everything here. It goes in your stomach to fix your IBS. It's got to go out to every cell through the bloodstream, into every single cell. This is the intelligence that was sucked out of you by antibiotics. So you were dumbed way down. You're putting the intelligence back in, full hardcore into every single cell. Every single cell is not going to be. It's going to be spinning like a top. That's what I'm proud about my protocol, is that you're getting way more than you bargained for, way more than you had even thought of. It's going to go in spinning. Picture this beautiful spinning, psychedelic-looking neon light thing going in that is very intelligent into every cell, lighting you up, man, lighting you up so that you are operating on the cellular level the best you possibly be. There's nothing better than you can do for your whole body. You take probiotics for your sinuses, your lungs, your bladder, your stomach, and you're going to fix that. In the meantime, you are lit up like a Christmas tree. So when you're talking about molds and things like that, it's because you don't have that distributed through your cells. You shouldn't be susceptible to anything. You should be invulnerable. On the I believe it was on the clip that I was peeing on. Right? If you weren't in on early enough, I did a clip and I was done. I didn't turn off the recorder, and I went to the bathroom. I was peeing, and it's on there. So if you like that, you can listen to it or not. But you should be invulnerable to anything, and you should be able to be exposed to anything. Certainly there's things you're not going to have immunity against, but I have not really, truly have not been sick for 35 years. Could have been longer. One of the keys, I'm just going to throw this back in here, is colloidal silver and oscillococcinum. It's called the cold remedy. It's good for cold. It's good for the flu remedy, it's called. They have one for cold. I don't know how good that one is. But if you never want to get sick with the flu, oscillococcinum, you can figure out how to spell it. OCC something. It's out there. It's a very common product. It's a homeopathic remedy, and if anyone can tell me what it's made out of, you win the prize. You win a prize, and we'll decide what it is afterwards. Probably a bag of popcorn or some cotton candy or something. But if it's oscillococcinum by boron, B-O-I-R-O-N. If you can tell me, it's okay to look on the label. It means you did your homework. What it's made out of, it's a homeopathic remedy. You'll be king of the day or queen of the day. So you use that and have that available whenever you get the first sniffles, or colloidal silver for sniffles, and then plus if you think you have a cold, have those in your glove compartment, home, office. You'll never get sick. It'll at least eliminate that. And I've never been sick otherwise. We're doing knocking on wood. I'll be sniffling tomorrow, right? So the same thing for the microbes. People talk about their, they have parasites and all that. Parasites are supposed to be in you, not an overgrowth of parasites. How do you get rid of them? You can use a combination of probiotics with the colostrum, of course, and the colloidal silver. I'm not big on oregano oil and such for gastrointestinal problems because they're very harsh. The way they kill germs is they aggravate them. They irritate them. They make them leave. I don't know how anyone can take that. That's harsh. That'll cause some inflammation in the gut. So make yourself invulnerable. Just take a bath. Now, I said this one time, and I want to thank the person for taking me up on it. The way I said it was wrong. I said, someone asked me if spirulina was good. And I said, oh, so good. And by what he was describing his problem, I said, you should take a bath in it. Meaning that, when in the U.S. that would be a term, we'd know what that means. Take a bath in it, take a ton of it. So they wrote back and said, well, how much should I put in the bath water? How much spirulina? So I thought that was really good, smart. I don't know if he was being humorous or not. But immerse yourself with the probiotic colostrum, spirulina, trace minerals by trace mineral research. See, I'm pulling a lot of stuff out from my prior life, so it takes me a few times to get it. And the ginkgo, I'm telling you, you want Hawaiian spirulina, you want trace mineral research, and here's why. There's really 100-something trace minerals. Science has acknowledged 72 of them and has only identified the properties of a small handful of them. Let me tell you something. The combination of a probiotic with trace minerals in there and colostrum, and you put some spirulina in there, my God. I don't talk a lot about many supplements because a lot of them are just bullshit. I'm all about the bullseye. If you want to blow your chemicals, your brain cells up and become one happy dude or girl, do that combination, plus the trace minerals themselves. I'll tell you one last story because I'm dragging this out because we're way past here, 5 minutes past. I just love telling my stories, and there's another question. So, duck hearts, Tammy, you get duck hearts. She's really got dexterous fingers. She got on that right away. Believe it or not, an extract from duck heart. Someone discovered that would kill the flu. How would anyone know that? I'm on a radio show, and we would take commercial breaks, and I'd turn the mic off, and I had a contest. Somebody, the trace mineral research bottle has a tremendously long list of these names of these minerals, and so I had a contest where I say, anyone who can just read, and it was meant to be off the top of your head, but anyone who can tell me all the minerals in there in order, you win a prize. So someone, people calling up and they're trying to remember calcium, magnesium, a lot of obscure names in there. So this woman, everyone on the radio show had a nickname, and you're all going to get nicknames if you consistently write in here. You're going to get a nickname. I mean, already we got Wig Lady. We have Wig Lady. You're all going to get a nickname. And so, and we had a guy that was basically a pain in the ass. He used to call up and take everybody's time, and he wanted a nickname. He wanted to be in the club, so I called him Hemorrhoid Man. He was a pain in the ass. He just thought it was great. So this lady was radar gun. She said, talk so fast. They said one time, lady, we got to put a radar gun on you. So she's trying to read the minerals real quick because that's how she talked. And so she kept stumbling. I said, hold on there, radar. I got to take a break, and we'll be right back. Practice while we're gone. So I didn't turn the mic off. I forget stuff like that. Like, and you heard me peeing, right? So I come back and say, hey, we're back on the air with the radar here. And she's going to try to, and while we're gone, this is the funny part I forgot to say. While we're gone, the mic was still on, and we hear her reading like molybdenum, lithium, and she stumbles over and she goes, shit! And so I just heard that I was coming back, and then she's reading, she goes, fuck! And this went out on the air, and the radio station owner came out and gave me hell. And she was still, and she never caught. I said, listen, I don't think shit and fuck are minerals. If they are, they're new on the list. So I've been calling people a mineral all along. I've been saying like calcium, man. I didn't know. So I think this woman was. She might be listening now, but it was funny. She told me. I told her about new. We are, by the way, going to open up our own private Facebook group, maybe even today. And part of it is that you have to be able to tolerate swearing because it's a group of people who just talk like we will talk when we're at home. And so she said. She yelled out, "Fuckface!" She's a very nice person. She says, I don't think she normally speaks like that. I say, what? She goes, I was just yelling at the dog. I said, puppy eats her earbuds. So so she was swearing, and she never even got. She talked so fast, she didn't even know we were off the air, taking a commercial break, or didn't know what. She just kept on going. And you know what? I had to give her the prize. And I gave her a free bottle of the minerals, which she already had in her hand. She used it. Her and her girlfriends used to come to the store, and they would want to study certain things before they bought them, so I gave them. And they were a pain in the neck, too. They were very nice, but they'd be waiting on the line before I opened the phone lines, and there'd be 6 of them friends with all their questions. And then the pain in the ass guy, Hemorrhoid Man. So I'm telling too many stories. Mara just got off the finasteride, I want to know, Mara, any chance the Mara that I spoke to, your husband's the cool guy, and you live in Massachusetts, Central Mass? Just got off the Benesonide after a year. It barely helped. Now I'm super tired. My adrenals are shut down. How do I get my energy back? Well, licorice is real good for adrenals. I'm not, again, I told someone the other day I don't do thyroid stuff, but licorice, you get licorice at in capsules, not chewing licorice, is one way to bring it back. Again, I always come back to the all my stuff, the Probiotic and the mucosal lining. I have a broken record, but it happens to be true. So if you haven't recharged your mucosal lining, please do. Another way is buric acid, butyrate. They make it sodium butyrate. You don't want to use the one that has magnesium in it. That's the most common form of butyrate, because if you're already dealing with diarrhea, the magnesium in there is going to give you loose stool. Sodium. People say to me, "Why you give me sodium, man?" I said, because you don't want magnesium. Sodium is just temporary. It's not going to hurt you. What do we have here? We have I think we finished for the day. A comment about things like Benesonide. I love drugs. I'm going to tell you a couple of things I love. Okay, drugs, because what happens most of the time, your problem is high inflammation. Natural stuff itself does not bring down acute high levels of inflammation. Now I'm going to pick on my Ayurvedic Indian friends and my Chinese friends. I'm going to get the phone calls and go, "Hey, no. Why am I criticizing Indian medicine and Chinese medicine?" It's because, and even traditional naturopath medicine, great systems. Matter of fact, Chinese medicine in Ayurvedic is so sophisticated, I skipped those courses. I can't handle it. I couldn't figure that out. Start reading a book on Chinese medicine. So anyways, I forget what I was going to say, is that I love drugs, but the drugs are needed now because we have high level of inflammation. I was going to say, but they have a downside. But we use them when we need them. Like Benesonide is one of the drugs, reduce inflammation. Why do I tell people, I'm glad you're taking that? Because it lowers the inflammation in a way that the natural stuff can't. So it then brings the flames down. The analogy I've used, you probably heard, is like a house is on fire, the flames are way up in the sky. We want to go and rescue the cat, but it's too hot. Pour water on the roof and brings the flames down, we can go get the cat. The drugs are like that. They lower the inflammation in a way the natural stuff can't. The natural stuff was developed over millions of years, not anticipating antibiotics. So when it brings it down, now the good stuff can go in and rescue the dog, heal the tissue. So I don't know if there's a relationship with going off it and not having energy, the Benesonide. Okay, a couple of things I just want to say. Why do I say these things? I say diarrhea is my friend. I love diarrhea. Diarrhea is awesome. I want to marry diarrhea. Let's hang out. I want to hang out with diarrhea. Stuff like that. It's because if you didn't have the diarrhea, the condition you're in when you have the diarrhea, it's because you have you have acid, not excessive acid in your gut, and you don't have enough mucosal lining, so it's not able to block the acid. So therefore, it's sitting there waiting for the next time you have a bowel movement. Water's going to come pouring in because the body puts it there on purpose to wash the acid away. That's why you have 20 bowel movements a day with 20 doses or rounds of diarrhea, because the body's saying we don't want the acid sitting there as long as there's no mucosal lining, and washes it away. Okay, same thing with I love mucus. I love mucus. Give me more mucus. Let's hang out with mucus. So why? Because mucus is borrowed by the immune system when there's not enough water. Say you've been pouring all that water and now you're dehydrated. It says, what are we going to do now? Immune system dumps mucus in the bowel to just sort of coat the walls, try to envelop the acid. Here's another one, my favorite. I get more people say F you to this one. I'll say, I'm glad you're still suffering. They'll come to me and say, oh, it's terrible. I'm glad you're still suffering. Why? Because if you took a drug with all your suffering and you felt better, you would be very motivated to get off that drug. And here's the problem. Every time you're eating something, you're releasing acid, and it's eating more holes in your gut because you don't have mucosal lining. Okay, we all know that now. And if you take a drug and it relieves the symptoms, I'm glad for that. Let's do that. But you have to realize that eating isn't stopping. Every time you eat, you're still destroying tissue. You're just not getting the signal, not getting the memo, not getting the email that, hey, there's serious destruction going on down here. And if you kept taking the drug, which you're not likely to get off it because you don't want to, you're getting married in the fall, you got to go to the graduation, and you start a new job, and everything, life happens, and you say it's not the right time to go off it, and then eventually the bottom falls out. Your acid can eat the whole colon. You'll just have little remnants to go and do a 15-minute surgery, take out a few little things that look like strings where your colon used to be. So go on the drug, but have an agenda that you're going to get off of it. And how do we get off it? The only way we're going to get off it is this, diagnostics. You work with me, we bring those SED rates down, and we bring the diagnostics down. Believe it or not, your doctor isn't going to listen much to you. You can tell them how great I am, how you feel better, you haven't seen blood, they're looking at the diagnostics. We blow the socks off in the diagnostics, before and after. We say, hey doc, here's what you had me at, and now I'm at this now. You told me nothing could be done, so you can't tell me it's your drug. So I'm glad you're still suffering. So that's it for today. I told too many stories. I'm sorry about that. Is there anything else going on here I didn't read? Okay, not me. Laura Pierce said Candida ongoing since 2006. I'm not a Candida guy. I don't know how to fix it. I tried for a lot of years. It's tough. You have to do a diet, and the diet puts you in a state where you have like a die-off. I don't know any human being that can stick with the diet. I'll give you a tip. I'm just keep on. Sometimes I pause and stammer a little bit because I'm pulling out information that I haven't thought about in 25, 30 years. It's valuable if I can deliver it accurately. Now, Candida, hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. Okay, it's just got an extra oxygen molecule, H2O2, and you put that in your water. There are towns, some of these small towns, that they put it in their water instead of chlorine. And H2O2, hydrogen peroxide, you can get it at CVS and places. But don't tell them I sent you, because it's controversial. I don't want to come in and take me away. It's pretty reliable. If you Google it, you'll see it's used by a lot of people. I do not know another way that's practical, because you drive yourself crazy trying to not eat sugar, vinegar, mushrooms, things like that. So that's the only way I know of. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, so long. We'll be back next Friday. I'm putting a lot of clips out now on my YouTube channel. I've got my radio station now, my own radio station, and I don't even know how to contact it. Tammy, please put that up. Again, you've done it several times for us, but now I'm active on it. I'm going to have same thing. I'm going to have the same thing open. I'm going to be talking about broader subjects and obscure things. What I'll be doing on there, I'll be talking about stuff that's a little more controversial, stuff that basically no one knows, and it's really inside information over there. We're also going to be packing stuff into our knowledge base. If you buy into the $195 protocol, you're going to have access to that, and I'm building stuff into there. I'm letting it all out, and you'll probably see it says coming soon, because I'm just making content right now. So that's it for today, but you're going to find a lot of stuff out there, and if you have any questions for me, the place to go would be to the radio. I think we'll be able to speak there, not chat. I'm not sure, but I just want to say, I got 24 hours to fill. I'm going to have a profane hour on there where we just swear at each other, and I'm going to have a music hour. I play music, and I'm the DJ. I'm going to try to be the cool, groovy DJ I used to listen to when I was younger. And I have a story hour where I tell my stories, and if you don't like them, don't listen. So, but we have 24 hours to fill. And if somebody comes forward and has something of value, you can have an hour on my station if you do. And we're looking to fill 24 hours, 7 days a week. And a lot of it's going to be me, but a lot of people don't like me or are sick of me, or maybe hearing the same information all the time. But here we go. So I'm going to, Timmy's going to put that up for me, please. And until